This mental condition that I'm speaking about is one that I would describe as one who doesn't really uses their creative thought a lot. One that doesn't really analyzes, the one that doesn't question things, one that doesn't, truly try to understand what they're listening to or what they're looking at, what they've heard, what they're indulging in, just that kind of mindset. And so I believe that one of the things that stunts that ability, that stunts that natural human inclination, because I honestly believe that it is a natural human inclination to investigate. If you look at the baby coming up, the baby has this way coming out of the womb investigating everything that it sees with its visual. And its way of investigating is by grabbing it and trying to put it in his mouth. It tries to investigate everything by putting it in his mouth, right? And as we get older, what we call kids bad, right? Kids are naturally investigative. They're nosy, they're very nosy, and some of that they get from the older people around that nosiness. But another aspect of it is the fact that they're just very investigative. They're gonna look at stuff. They're gonna really try to figure it out. They're gonna try to understand what they're dealing with. But we call it bad. Stop messing with stuff. Stop doing that. Sit down somewhere. And instead of redirecting their creative spirit, we destroys it under most circumstances, and we don't try we when we should try to put them in some type of environment or give them some type of tools that help cultivate that particular creative nature that they have. Kids have a very creative nature, especially females. The female child has a very, very creative nature, and if we don't find ways to channel that, to different tools or different environments for them to be able to channel that creative nature, that creative spirit, that creative mind, then I mean, we're going to, and they're going to basically turn it off. We're going to smother it out of them, or it's going to be put in a way to where that creative spirit is going to be utilized in a way to where all it's doing is coming up with ways to basically feed a desire that has been developed out of a lack of. Whenever the soul or the spirit is not totally fulfilled, is it not when it's not totally being nourished, when the human being, when the creative spirit of an individual, which is, I believe, is our higher self, when that part of us isn't being nourished, then we begin to pick up all other types of substitute to bring of temporary, artificial types of or even levels of gratification, pleasures, peace of mind, happiness, and things of that nature. And so we begin, just we pick up all these habits. We indulge in all these different things. We do all this counterproductive stuff. Anyway, so with all that being said, we have to shift the way we're looking at the perspective that we have on our kids when they're being naturally investigative, naturally creative. We have to put them in an environment where they can exercise that creative spirit in a very productive way, in a way that cultivate and nourishes that nature instead of killing it by telling them stop this, stop that, stop. But anyway, as a result of that, crushing that spirit, most adults today don't have it. And this is why when you even think about companies, Fortune 500 companies or whatever, they want younger people because actually the younger you can go into, bringing this new energy in, this younger energy in, the younger you can go, the more likely you'll be able to still tap into some of that creative, innovative energy. A lot of older people, again, when I say older, adults, getting into your late 20s, 30s, 40s, up in that, the older one gets, if they hadn't started cultivating that creative nature, it only dies out more and more and more. And so when you have people say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and all that old kind of stuff. It's because when the individual has stopped learning, that's the creative part of us. You stop learning as a result of that creative spirit being killed, being smothered out. When an individual doesn't like live off of that creative spirit, that creative mind, that creative nature, when one doesn't live off of that, one doesn't thrive off of that, when one doesn't survive off of that, then it dies out, and you find yourself like functioning on a robot level. Like everything you do is like a program. You just do the same thing every day, the same thing, day throughout, and you only change that program out of force and out of obligation, like when something forces you, like your health goes bad. You lose a leg or something, or you can't afford certain things, then you're forced to kind of change that program slightly, only to fit or adjust to those new circumstances. However, it's still the same repetitive program. You don't change anything, right? And so I say all that to say is that, for I would say for adults, for people as you're getting older, whatever age you are, definitely start challenging your creative mind, your creative nature, your creative spirit. You have to challenge it in many ways, in many areas, man. Like, again, I direct you to go listen to the video, Getting to Know Thyself, because this video challenges that part of your mental that you really have to start thinking a lot. Like, people quick to tell me, man, you think too much, or you analyze too much, you critique too much, whatever it may be. The thing is that my creative mind is fully awake, and I'm always trying to figure a way to make a way to get where I'm striving to be, to get where I'm trying to go, to get where I have to be and need to be in this world, for things to be peaceful, for my world to be peaceful, for my world to be sustained in the way I want it to be. I strive to do that. So I'm very creative. I'm very analytical. I'm very, I'm protective and all that, all at one time. I'm guarding some stuff, and I'm also looking for some stuff. You dig what I'm saying? So that's how my creative mind is always working. So again, what's the word I'm looking for? I encourage you. I think that's it. I encourage you to definitely embark upon the journey of cultivating your creative mind, and for your young and for parents who have young people. I don't care if it's a toddler, a baby, a teenager, or stop telling them no all the time. You have to take some time out, sacrifice some of that extra stuff, take time out to develop creative things for that child, for that young person, to make them think outside of the box. And here's one other thing, because I cut hair too. I'm in the barber shop all the time. I'm always talking to different young people when they come in there. And this is one thing I noticed about young people, is that most young people, when you ask them a question, they don't know how to answer the question. It's like they go quiet, or they talk real super low, I just don't. I be like, man, talk up. Talk to me, man. Talk to me. You ain't got no reason to be intimidated or afraid of me. Talk to me. Talk. And I don't know if they talk like that around their peers or whatever, but I'd be like, man, you have to talk up, talk, And so in this world, you really have to speak for yourself. You can't only do it when you're mad, when you're in your emotion, because that's the only time you express yourself. That is a very unhealthy, I would say, program, a very unhealthy development that you've acquired and you've attained and you've cultivated and you've embraced. You have to get outside of that box, because it's going to be counterproductive for you. And so that's one of the things. Stop telling, when your child, engage your children. You have to start talking first. But for those of us who know how to talk and communicate, engage your child. Make them talk. Make them communicate. Make them express themselves. Make them explain themselves clearly, accurately, fully. Make them explain themselves, especially when they're mad. Don't allow them to shut down. Anyway, peace and blessings. I hope that you was able to get some out of this here, and you understood what I was trying to get off and get apart to you. Peace.